in 1893. Sir Mortimer Durand, from hence the name Durand Line, was a British diplomat that sat down with the head Afghan honcho at the time, Amir Abdur Rahman Khan. Know him if you want to. That's fine with me. It's fine with me if you don't know him either. But Amir Khan may or may not have been in charge of kind of anything. Who knows? However, he was kind of the top guy at the time of this group of tribes that we're calling Afghans or Pashtuns in this part of the planet. And he may or may not have been their spokesman, but he's the one who signed the deal with the British. For his part, Khan was a pretty smart character. And he knew what was going on, and he knew he was getting played in the middle. He was taking money and guns from the Russians too, but he signed this treaty with the British, establishing a line of control, where the Brits said essentially, look, you're too tough, we can't beat you. But here's the deal. We won't invade you anymore. We won't cause you any more troubles. You give us these territories on our northern borders that will kind of split up between us, and then we'll give you money and guns to support you against the Russians. Again, the British angle here is, yeah, give them money and guns and let the Russians go mess with these people, because we can't beat them. They can't beat them either. And hence the Durand Line was born in 1893. You see it here superimposed on a modern map of Afghanistan and Pakistan in red. The Durand Line essentially signed between perhaps the head honcho of the Afghans at the time and a British diplomat in 1893, really becomes a de facto border between these two countries that is still in play today. And that's part of the problem, because other things have changed from 1893 to today. Because Afghanistan, for its part in this peace treaty, if you want to call it that, gave up some territories, kind of maybe temporarily ceded control of these territories to the British with the intent that they would get them back someday. The areas that I want you to know, I've already mentioned at the opening of this podcast. The Northwest Frontier Province, the federally administered tribal areas, the FATA, and this area called Baluchistan, down in southwestern Pakistan. This is a map of modern-day Pakistan. See the NWFP, the FATA, and Baluchistan. But wait a minute, hold the phone. That's a map of Pakistan. I haven't got to that part of the story yet. Oh, that's right. Let me get back to British India, where Sir Mortimer Durand signed this treaty. The Brits did control all of what's now South Asia. Its heyday around 1900, just after they signed this treaty. However, as you know, in the modern era, there ain't no British there no more. So we got to get from there to here. In 1947, the British actually pulled up stakes and said, we're the hell out of here. For a very, very long lecture, see another Plaid cast on how this actually occurred. But for now, we'll leave it at this. When the British pulled up stakes and left, there were a whole bunch of Muslim folks in Hindu-dominated India. India is about 80% Hindu, about 20% Muslim. And the Muslims in India said, hey, we need our own place. We need our own country. Once the British leave, they're the only law and order. If we don't get our own state, then when the British leave, the Hindus are all going to kill us all, beat us up, pick on us, and discriminate against us. They went back and forth for years, and they finally got their wish. And thus, in 1947, when the British left, 3 entities were born. India, this modern state as we know it today, Pakistan West, and Pakistan East. Pakistan is a Muslim country. Long story short, in 1971, Pakistan East had a little secession and independence movement and became Bangladesh. So we're going to focus on Pakistan West. It's almost 100% Islamic. And for its part, that's how we got the modern state of Pakistan in today's world, from that 1947 partition of British India. And for its part, the Pakistanis said, when they created their new country in 1947, said, hey, the British India government made this deal, this Durand Line deal with Afghanistan back in 1893. We're going to honor that deal. We still respect those lines. That's our western border. At the time, Afghanistan disagreed, by the way. In 1947, Afghanistan said, bullshit it is. We never agreed with that with the British 50 years before, so we don't really like it now. This is part of the animosity between Afghanistan and Pakistan, even in today's world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's politics. We just want to stick with places. Back to places. The provinces and places of Pakistan, there's roughly 6 or 7. 4 of them are provinces, big ones like Sindh and Punjab, which is where most Pakistani people are. Most Pakistani people are in these areas called the northern areas, Punjab and Sindh. Look at this population map. This is where the people are. This is where the government is. This is where the cities are. This is where the economy is. On the eastern side of Pakistan. Stay with me. I know I'm talking fast and it gets complicated. The eastern side of Pakistan is truly Pakistan. The western side is anybody's guess. Why am I saying that? Because the western side of Pakistan is these three entities. I'm going to say them again. The NWFP, Northwest Frontier Province, the FATA, Federally Administered Tribal Areas, and Baluchistan. Those are the pieces that were teased away from Afghanistan over 100 years ago. Now claimed by Pakistan, but quite frankly, is really anybody's guess as to who really owns them. And let me tell you this, it's no one's guess as to who controls them, and that's the locals, especially for the Northwest Province and the federally administered tribal areas. But I don't want to overlook Baluchistan. Baluchistan is this southwestern area in Pakistan, part of sovereign Pakistan, that for its part is mostly Baluchi ethnic group. They don't really consider themselves Pakistani nationals either, not too much. They're not that happy about being part of Pakistan, and for its part, the Baluchistan has been roundly thumped and put down, pushed down, and kicked down by the Pakistani military over the course of the last 50 years to keep it in its place. It's got some oil there that the Pakis want, and it's got some radicals that are now starting to crop up, some radicals that may have been responsible for an attack on Iran just in the last 48 hours. Baluchi ethnic group, which now may be turning radical, also spilling over into Iran. We'll come back to that for another podcast. However, for today's events, for the NATO war in Afghanistan, the friction between Afghanistan and Pakistan invading Waziristan, we need to go to the real action in the central north part of Pakistan, and that is the Northwest Frontier Province and the federally administered tribal areas, which I refer to as North Central Hell.